There is something far more terrifying than death: the absolute end. Not the end of your life, the end of existence itself. Because individual death still preserves an illusion of continuity. A funeral happens, people cry, your name remains for some time in someone's memory. There is a world continuing without you. But what about when there is no one left? No human being, no animal, no remaining consciousness to observe the universe. Have you ever stopped to think about this deeply? One day, perhaps even the stars will disappear. The last sun will burn its last light. What you are, a temporary arrangement of matter that became aware of its own temporariness, with no explanation for why that awareness exists, and no information about what happens when it stops. That's the full picture. Everything else, every religion, every philosophy, every therapy session, is commentary designed to make that picture bearable. But what if you looked at it without the commentary? Man is the only creature who refuses to be what he is. Here is the question nobody asks out loud. What if suffering has no purpose? Not your suffering specifically, all of it. Billions of years of organisms tearing each other apart, dying of disease, starving, drowning, before any consciousness sophisticated enough to ask whether it meant something even existed. What was that for? Not metaphorically, literally. A trilobite dying in agony 500 million years ago, before prayer, before philosophy, before grief. What was the purpose of that? The honest answer? Nothing. It happened, dissolved, left no record, and the universe continued without registering the event. Now ask yourself how certain you are that your suffering is categorically different from that. The cradle rocks above an abyss, and common sense tells us that our existence is but a brief crack of light between two eternities of darkness. You were in that first darkness for 13.8 billion years. You had no experience of it. It wasn't frightening, it wasn't lonely, it was not anything. The question is whether the second darkness is identical to the first. And if it is, if non-existence before birth and non-existence after death are the same state, then you already know what death feels like. You're fine with it. You survived it for billions of years without complaint. The horror isn't non-existence. The horror is the loss of this, the specific texture of being you, the thing reading these words right now. That's what ends, and that's not nothing. You are going to lose everyone you love. Not might, will. Either they go first and you carry the absence for however long you have left, or you go first and the last thing the people you love most experience because of you is grief. There is no version where love ends well. There is only the question of who carries the loss and for how long. The bitterest tears shed over graves are for words left unsaid. But go further. The grief itself ends. Every person who ever loved someone enough to be destroyed by losing them is also gone now. The love ended. The grief ended. The person who could testify that the lost person mattered ended. Nothing lasts forever. Not even the memory of the loss. And that is either the most comforting thing you've ever heard or the most horrifying. We are all sentenced to capital punishment for the crime of being born. The sentencing was not a punishment. There was no judge, no intent, no crime. You arrived through a chain of events so improbable it shouldn't have happened into a specific body, a specific nervous system, a set of wounds and fears and desires you didn't choose. You woke up inside it already years old, already shaped by things that happened before you could understand them. And then you were expected to build something meaningful out of that, under a time limit you don't know, with tools you don't fully understand, in a universe that will not tell you the rules. The question isn't whether life is hard. The question is, who decided this was an acceptable arrangement? Nobody decided. There was no arrangement. This is just what matter does when it gets complicated enough to have preferences. Here's a thought you've had and immediately buried. What if the person who wakes up tomorrow is not the same person who went to sleep? Consciousness is not continuous. You go unconscious every night. The atoms in your body replace themselves over years. The beliefs you held 10 years ago are gone. The version of you from 15 years ago would be someone you recognize but might not understand. So what exactly is the you that you're afraid of losing? Is it a thing? Or is it a story you've been telling yourself so long you've confused the story for the teller? And here's what that question leads to if you follow it honestly. Every self you have ever been is already dead. The child you were, the person you were before the thing that changed you, the version of you that existed before the first real loss, gone, not coming back. You have already died multiple times and kept moving without calling it that. What makes the last time different? The body stops, but the self, the specific configuration of beliefs, fears, and memories you call yourself right now, that has been dying and being replaced your entire life. The death you're afraid of has already been happening. The version of yourself you've never shown anyone. The thoughts classified as unsayable the moment they arrived. The desires buried before they could surface because you already knew they wouldn't be received. What percentage of your actual inner life has another human being ever witnessed? Most people? 5%, maybe 10%. The rest, the dreams that embarrassed you, the fears too large to say, the grief that never had a witness, the love you didn't say out loud in time. It just lived in you until you stopped generating it. Because suppressing something long enough kills the source. The self you performed, the self that actually existed. For most people, those are not the same person. And the one that dies, the real one, almost nobody will have seen. Every man dies twice, once when he stops breathing, and again the last time someone says his name. But the person who actually lived inside that body, the full, unedited version, that person never got to exist publicly. Not once, not for a single moment. Every human being who has ever lived has died completely unknown. Think about the people who raised you. Not what they meant to you, what they wanted, what they were afraid of in the dark when they were 23 before you existed. The dreams they didn't pursue, the person they thought they'd become, the specific private grief they carried that had nothing to do with you and that they never mentioned because there was never a right time and then time ran out. Do you know any of that? Did they ever tell you? Did you ever ask? Almost certainly not. Because that level of honesty between people, even people who love each other, almost never happens. We perform the stable version of ourselves for each other, the version that has it handled. And then we die, and everyone who loved us buries the performance. The actual person never got out. You will die. And then, at some point, the last person who actually knew you will die. The last person carrying a live-in memory of your specific voice, the way you laughed, the thing you were ashamed of that you never told anyone, the version of you that only existed when you were completely alone. After that person dies, you will be, functionally, as if you never existed. Not forgotten, non-existent. There will be no living mind for whom you were a real person rather than a name attached to 2 dates. Then, the last human dies. Every language, every piece of music, every expression of love ever recorded, it becomes matter with no context. A hard drive in a dead civilization contains the same data as before, but without a mind to read it, information is just pattern. Pattern without interpretation is just arrangement. Arrangement without significance is just geometry. And geometry doesn't know it was ever something else. Let's talk about what you actually feel when you stand at a grave. Not grief, underneath grief, the thing grief is sitting on top of. It's the sudden reality that the world continued, that the sun came up, that people drove past the cemetery on their way to work, music playing, thinking about lunch, the violent normalcy of everything outside that moment. The universe did not pause, it did not register. Whatever that person was, their entire inner world, every experience they ever had, every moment of private joy and private terror, the complete, unrepeatable structure of their consciousness, it ended. And outside the people standing at that grave, nothing changed, not one thing. That's what the grave actually shows you, not death, the indifference that surrounds death. After your death, you will be what you were before your birth, and the world will look exactly the same. Here is what nobody tells you about time. You cannot actually feel it passing. You can only feel the present moment. Time as duration, the sense that years have gone by, is a reconstruction your brain performs using memory. It is not direct experience. It is a story you tell yourself about experience, which means the past does not exist anywhere except inside minds. Your childhood is not somewhere behind you. It is a pattern of electrochemical signals in your brain. When those signals degrade, and they are degrading right now continuously, the past doesn't move further away. It partially ceases to exist. We do not remember days. We remember moments. And moments are already almost gone by the time you finish experiencing them. The happiest moment of your life is now a degraded reconstruction of a reconstruction of a reconstruction. The original is inaccessible. You are carrying a copy of a copy, and each time you retrieve it, you alter it slightly, store the altered version, and the original recedes into something you can no longer reach. The people you've loved most, you are already losing the actual memory of them. What you carry now is a story you've told yourself so many times it has replaced the source material. The real person is already partially gone. And when you die, the last distorted version of them goes with you. Memory is not storage. Memory is reconstruction, and reconstruction is always loss. Now here is a question almost nobody asks. What if the version of reality you experience is nothing like what is actually there? Every color you have ever seen is a construction of your visual cortex. The wavelengths of light that exist in the world have no color. Color is something your brain adds. The same is true for sound, for smell, for the feeling of solid surfaces. The world you have inhabited your entire life, every texture, every face, every sunset, is a simulation your brain runs based on incomplete sensory data. You have never once perceived reality directly. You have perceived your brain's model of reality, shaped by the specific hardware you were born with, the specific damage and conditioning it accumulated. Which means the world everyone else experiences is a completely different simulation. You have never truly shared a moment with another person in the way you think you have. You were always in separate theaters watching adjacent films. And when the hardware shuts down, the simulation ends. Not reality, your simulation, the only world you ever actually knew. Every star you can see in the night sky is dying. Not eventually, now, in real time. A nuclear catastrophe happening so slowly that from here it looks like light, like beauty, like permanence. The light reaching your eyes left those stars decades, centuries, thousands of years ago. Some no longer exist. You are looking at ghosts, the afterimage of something that has already ended, still traveling toward you across the dark. You look up and feel something vast and permanent. What you are actually looking at is a graveyard with the lights still on. Is there a version of your life where you will not have regrets on your deathbed? Not about things you did, about what you were. The person you were capable of being, but chose not to risk. The life available to you that you didn't take because it required more courage than you had that year. And then that year became years, and the window closed quietly, without ceremony, without you noticing the exact moment it shut. Most people don't live the life that was possible for them. They live a negotiated compromise between what they wanted and what felt safe. A slow series of small surrenders, so gradual they never felt like surrendering. And one day, the body starts failing, and the negotiation is over, and what's left is the original question. Was this it? Was this what I had, and this is how I used it? To live in fear is not to live at all, but most people do, quietly. The fear of embarrassment, the fear of failure, the fear of being seen wanting something and not getting it. Small fears accumulated across decades that quietly consume the exact life they were supposed to be protecting. And the cruelest part? By the time you see it clearly, most of the time is gone. Here is something that happens to almost everyone, and that almost no one talks about honestly. There are moments, usually brief, usually arriving without warning, where you suddenly feel the full weight of the fact that you are alive. Not grateful, not peaceful, just struck by the sheer strangeness of existing at all, of being a something rather than a nothing. And in those moments, most people feel terror, not wonder, terror, because the same realization that makes existence feel miraculous also makes it feel unbearably fragile. The gap between existing and not existing is not large. It is a heartbeat. It is a cell dividing wrong. It is one driver running a red light. You are alive right now by a margin so narrow that probability can barely measure it. Every ancestor you have, going back not just centuries but billions of years, survived long enough to reproduce. One failure anywhere in that chain, and you are not a different person. You are nothing. You are not even a concept. The improbability of your existence is so extreme it should be incomprehensible. And yet, here you are, aware of it, able to feel the weight of it. And the question that arrives when you actually sit with that is, what does it mean to waste this? Not waste in the moral sense, in the personal sense, the specific private sense of knowing, somewhere underneath everything, that you are spending the most improbable accident in the history of the universe on something smaller than what you're capable of. Most people feel this. Almost no one admits it, because admitting it means having to do something about it or living with the knowledge that you chose not to. Most people die at 25 and are buried at 75. And the cruelest version of that truth is that they often know it. They feel the slow drift, the gradual replacement of what they actually wanted with what was convenient, the dreams getting quieter over the years, not abandoned dramatically, just gradually less loud, until one day you realize you can't quite remember what you used to want, what it felt like before the wanting got managed down into something livable. That forgetting is not peace. That forgetting is the loss of something essential. And the question nobody asks out loud, is it possible to get that back? The honest answer is that most people never find out, because finding out requires stopping, really stopping, sitting in the silence long enough to hear what's underneath it. Because what lives in that silence is not peace. What lives in that silence is the unfiltered truth about your own life, what you actually think of the choices you've made, what you actually feel about the person you've become. Most people are more afraid of that silence than they are of death, which may be the most honest thing in this entire script. God is dead, and we have killed him. How shall we comfort ourselves? What died wasn't just belief. What died was the guarantee that your experience registers somewhere outside your own skull. That the universe has a position whether you live or die, suffer or flourish, love or lose. Without that guarantee, you are left with the raw fact. You are aware, briefly, in a universe that is not aware of you. Most people decide by not deciding. They take the default framework handed to them and do not look at the walls. You are looking at the walls right now, which means you actually have to answer it. What is consciousness? Physically, where is it? Neuroscience can map every function of the brain. It cannot locate the thing experiencing those functions. It can show you which neurons fire when you feel love. It cannot find the lover. It can trace the circuitry of grief. It cannot find the griever. The most fundamental question about what you are cannot be answered by the most sophisticated science in human history. Which means when anyone tells you with confidence what happens to consciousness after death, that it ends, that it continues, they are speaking beyond what any human being knows. We are building our entire model of death on a foundation with a hole in it we haven't been able to close. Every monument ever built, every name carved in stone, every religion promising continuity, every child brought into the world partly to carry a parent forward, all of it is the same gesture. A mind that knows it is temporary, trying to become permanent. The bid for immortality has a 100% failure rate. Every single attempt, every civilization, every person who ever lived. The monuments erode, the names are forgotten, the languages in which the prayers were spoken are gone. And yet we keep trying, as if this time will be different, as if we will be the exception. We won't. Most men lead lives of quiet desperation and go to the grave with the song still in them. The song, still in them, unplayed, because the moment never felt right, or the risk felt too large, or someone told them early enough that they weren't the kind of person who gets to make that sound, and they believed it, and they carried that belief all the way to the end. That is the actual tragedy, not death. That. The last question, the real one. You will die not knowing whether your consciousness ends or continues, not knowing whether anything you did mattered outside the human framework, not knowing why you were built capable of loving things that were always going to be taken from you, not knowing if the suffering added up to anything. You will die mid-sentence, cosmically speaking, in the middle of not understanding. Between now and then, not for legacy, not for memory, not for anything that outlasts you, what do you actually want? Not what should you do, not what looks right, not the answer you'd give if someone was watching. What do you want? Because that question, the real, unfiltered answer, is probably the thing you have spent the most energy in your life avoiding. The thing underneath the career and the persona and the performance. The thing you would be if the noise stopped long enough and you had to live from what remained. Most people never find out. The noise never stops long enough, and then it stops permanently. We are dying from the very moment we are born. The only question worth asking is what we do with the light before it goes. You pulled back from this thought before. You'll probably pull back again, but you know where it lives now, and it knows you've been here. This channel is sustained by a rare community of courageous people who do not run from difficult questions. If you feel you belong here, become a channel member. It is the most direct way to keep this project alive, and it also gives you access to exclusive content and dialogues. To those who are already members, thank you. You are the backbone of all of this. If you want to support in another way, the super thanks also helps a great deal. But just by watching, commenting, or sharing, you are already taking part. And here, that matters. Thank you very much.